So I mentioned that most recently you have become a food entrepreneur. So I would love to start by asking you all about Mama Rita, your new endeavor. What is it all about and why did you start it?
First of all, thank you so much for the introduction and good morning, everyone. Mama Rita was actually born during the pandemic. So in February of last year, 2020, my mum came from Australia to shoot a campaign for Boucheron jewelry. And it was a mother-daughter campaign. It was meant to be for 2 weeks only. And she ended up getting stuck here with me. So during this time, I said to her, you know what, we need to make your dream come true. She is an amazing chef, an amazing mother. She has been cooking for us all her life, and everyone has been telling her, you have to do something with your food. You have to open a restaurant, a delivery business, whatever, but please share your food with the world. So from February of 2020 to September, so 6 months, we worked incredibly hard on everything. I have never dabbled in the food industry. I've never even come across it. I had no idea anything, not operations, not the marketing, not the branding, not the menu engineering, nothing. And we just educated ourselves during this time. And we ended up launching Mamarita in September 2020.
And you guys have just expanded, haven't you? What is your business model and how have you grown and scaled the business?
So we were really surprised, to be honest. And I'm someone who is a bit of a perfectionist, but at the same time, I kind of expect the worst as well. So I honestly didn't know if I was going to sell one meal a day or hundreds. And the first month, we were so incredibly fortunate to have sold 10,000 meals. And today we are beyond 100,000 meals after 6 months. So we work with cloud kitchens, which allow us to scale. And that's incredibly important, especially during this socioeconomic time. When I launched Mama Rita, I didn't have a brick and mortar space in mind. I looked at what was happening in the world. I saw that food delivery was booming. People were looking for healthy, homey food that was not pricey. We're incredibly democratically priced. And food that is coming from a mother, where they trusted the source, they trusted the ingredients. And for us, I just listened to my gut instinct. I listened to people, and we created something with the help of dark kitchens. So we most recently expanded to Abu Dhabi, and it's actually our 4th kitchen in 6 months.
How have you used your platform to grow Mama Rita, and were you kind of using your same social media strategy for the brand?
Yes, I think Mama Rita is a testament for just being natural on social media and speaking about what you're so passionate about in a candid way. And this is the message that we're always telling brands is just let me do the content because I know what works best. And it was purely done on social media. We didn't do any advertising the first month. Now we do advertising just to reach more people. But I just introduced the brand. I hyped people up before we launched for a couple of months, actually. And when we did launch, our kitchen crashed the first day. I mean, it was just so overwhelming. And luckily, it's been an upwards trend. So obviously, you don't want to just mushroom out and be super successful the first few months and then dip. So we're really lucky to have consistent growth. And that is thanks to social media. We do a lot of influencer marketing. A lot of my friends in the industry love and share our food. And it's funny because people get really excited over food more than fashion. And, they love receiving food. So, and they love sharing it. I think sometimes, and I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, with fashion, you may not want your friend to have the same shoes as you, maybe a variation or like the same suit. But with food, it's shareable. You want to recommend to your friend, like, I had the best vegetarian lasagna. Someone told me that, Sarah, when I walked in. Or like I had oh my gosh, our family loves your food. So food is to be shared. And we rely on obviously influencer marketing, but as well a lot of word of mouth, which is incredibly important. And this is how you create longevity with your brand.
And what tips do you have for a young food entrepreneur, particularly a female food entrepreneur, for starting her own brand from scratch in a pandemic?
In a pandemic. I think you have to be really passionate about what you do. I mean, a food brand is not for anyone and everyone. And we work incredibly hard. Sometimes I sleep, actually not sometimes, almost every day I sleep at 4 or 5 a.m. It's incredibly dynamic. You have to keep consistency and quality. It's not that easy. You have to always be on top of things. It's a highly saturated market as well. The food industry has so many players. There's over 11,000 players in just Dubai alone or the UAE. So you have to always have an edge and be different. I mean, we're unlike any other brand. What I love is that you can't really compare us to anyone else in the market. And I think you just really have to be passionate about it. We love food. In the family, we talk about food like it's, you know, my mom cooks twice a day. You know, lunch and dinner has to be different. So we're used to that, and we love our stomachs, and we love good food. And most importantly, we love food that is conscionable as well. Because just before I went off the topic a little bit, but I'll come back to it. But just before we launched the business, I was always ordering food delivery because I have no idea how to cook. And my mom's an incredible cook, and it's such a shame that I barely know how to make a salad. So I was always ordering out, and I just, you know, didn't find a place that I could completely trust in terms of the ingredients and transparency of ingredient sourcing. So for us, also that transparency that we're giving people is so important. So, and this all comes under the umbrella of passion, because when you're so passionate about what you do, you want to communicate those messages to people. So I think for any female entrepreneur who's looking to do any business, whether it's food or anything else, you know, it doesn't have to be food. I really recommend being different, being very passionate, and working super hard, because there's a lot of competition out there. So innovation is the number one thing.
How would you define female beauty?
I think it's very individualistic. I think I always say, and I carry this in the lyrics of my songs, but I really believe that beauty comes from within. Obviously, aesthetically, there is some people who are more drawn to a sharper, beautiful nose and big curly hair, and some people like straight hair. And again, that's just, you know, personal choice. And so that is a natural thing that we have. We're attracted to certain types of beauty. I don't agree with the manufactured beauty that is out there today, that is like everyone's prescribing to a certain, you know, look. I think that it's important to be healthy. I personally try to lead a very healthy life, and that's in my personal daily choices, in the things I ingest, in the things I read, the things I watch. And I always try to look at things through a lens of beauty. So I see beauty in everything. So I don't think that the convention is beautiful. I think that a woman's mind and soul and her inner expression is beautiful, and that's what makes someone, you know, holistically beautiful. So I don't prescribe to the kind of standards of beauty. I do obviously put pressure on myself as an artist. It's kind of part of my job to try to like look my best, and, you know, but I'm not for that very manufactured look of beauty. And I think that
But there's that difficult, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but there's that difficult element, isn't it? Because a part of it is, especially on it's your marketing, it's your showcasing, it's how you, it's your viewability is your profile on social media to push it to a wider audience. And then you get that element of, do you get that kind of backlash of like, this is too fake, this is, you know, are you in a no-win situation with that kind
I mean, typically, yes, because like whatever you do, there's always going to, but I try to look at things from a place of compassion, because people who hate are generally projecting. And when they are not okay with themselves, they're not okay with anyone. And so what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and let them tear you down instead of, if I try to just come from a place of love and compassion and understanding, then like Raha says, they don't win, you know? And I can only be the best version of myself. And I always strive for that, because I don't think it's also like, okay, this is what God gave me. No, I want to be the best version of myself. I was a classical ballerina for 12 years. There's no way that I'm going to be skinny. I'm a curvy girl, and that's what I am. You don't like it? Don't watch me. You don't like what I'm wearing? Don't watch me. And basically that's what it comes down to for me.
We were discussing the idea that people like to easily package other people in boxes. Isn't that what kind of the things like social media is built in for? It's that tiny attention span, that swipe culture. It's just how kind of limiting is that on a personal kind of on that element of self-love and self kind of confidence?
Yeah. Well, for the record, I have an MBA.
No, exactly.
I worked in the corporate field before I became a singer, and so I'm many things, but I don't feel the need to publicize that or make that public knowledge on a daily basis, because I'm okay with who I am. But yeah, it is difficult. I'm originally from Iran, and basically being a singer or a performer is the same thing as being a working girl, you know. And that's very damaging to the psyche, you know, because it's not just what they think or how they package you. It's also in the way they treat you, in the way they tell you, you know, no one's going to marry you if you become a singer, or no one's going to, you know, respect you. And whereas in my heart, all I really wanted to do was share my poetry and song and express myself, because if I didn't do that, I would have suffocated on my words and then lived a life of regret and felt that I didn't live a fulfilled life. So it is very damaging, yes, to be put in boxes, but it is very much human nature to do that. It's kind of in our DNA. It's a self-defense mechanism. People do it, whether you like it or not. But yes, going back to the topic of, you know, should people look at a person and say, yeah, oh, she's a singer, or she's an athlete, and that means that she's a certain way. Yeah, that's wrong, because you don't know. There's like behind that face, there's many things. And sometimes I think I'm the one at fault, because I'm not showing enough of who I am. I'm like between like thinking about writing songs and then producing songs and then doing my music videos and financing the projects and performing and styling and all. Like, it's a lot of work, you know? And then on top of that, I got to prove who I am to the world. It's a lot of work, and it's tarnishing, and and it starts with our communities, you know? It starts with changing the perspective of what it means to be a woman who tries to sort of set a standard for something that's different to the norm. I'm not saying that, you know, everyone has to express themselves if they like to sing, but like, music is important for our societies and culture. It's a very important tool as a universal language to share our culture with the rest of the world.
Now, you both are working in an industry where you are reaching out to millennials and Gen Zs. So, how do you determine what kind of communication and what communication platforms are you going to target them?
Research is very important. We do invest a lot in research in Majid Al Futtaim, and data is important. But a colleague of mine mentioned something the other day that I found quite interesting. Data is like oil. Data on its own is good to have, but it's not going to help you in anything. It's the insights that you really drive from this data. It's the refined oil that will be quite useful, right? I think the challenge in nowadays, and Rola, you pointed this out perfectly well, is how can we predict the future? So it's not only knowing about the current trends. So I am in the business of shopping malls, right? And for us to build a shopping mall in the next 3 to 4 years, we have to start building it today. But how should we build it, and what should we have in this shopping mall for the consumer of tomorrow? Is the big question we always try to answer. So the way we do this is we stitch the data that we receive from different sources. And in this case, it's really omni, right? So it's online and offline. And we try to use machine learning and some algorithm to try and predict some of the future trends and not only current trends. And so far it's been quite insightful. And I guess with the recent opening in City Center Al Zahia, it just proves that it works, right? So we've launched some innovations that are quite current nowadays, but this has been thought through a few years before. And we continue to do that. We've got malls that will open in the next few months and the next 4 to 5 years in Saudi. So, yeah.
What is the percentage of female consumers and how do you do an outreach to them?
Now, we need all the shoppers to come to our malls, male, female, right? They have to all come and shop. But half of our visitors are female. And as you might also know, a lot of the decision-making process happens, with our female shoppers. So what we do is really, again, I want to go back to insights. So we try to also analyze the behavior and the interests of our shoppers to understand really what they're looking for. And we design experiences based on that. So the next innovation we're launching is going to be dedicated to men, to help women shop. Yep. So what's the biggest pain point of men during the shopping journey in any mall? Go ahead, men. Give me one pain point you have. There are 3 men in the room. I need one. All of it. Waiting. Men hate waiting. Okay.
Or carrying bags, I guess.
Yeah, and carrying bags. Good point. So we've launched a hands-free service in Mall of the Emirates 3 years ago. And it was really quite interesting to see how the average spend at the dwell time is the average time that, customers spend in the mall, increased month on month. And now if I look at it year on year, it's a double-digit percentage growth. So yes, so we've addressed one of your pain points, carrying bags, but waiting is another key one. Hence, you need to look forward to a space that we're going to create dedicated to men who don't want to wait in the mall, but are going to have a very interesting space where they will find everything that they will be looking for to wait or to spend time while waiting.
Can they play mini golf there?
Oh, that's something we haven't thought about. But yeah, we have to look into it. But yes, they're going to have their cigar lounge. They're going to have their tailor. They're going to have their PlayStation, perhaps, corner. So yeah, so we're going to think of men to help women shop in our malls.
Can we join?
Great.
Of course.